Let's move on to the next game, Preston North End. Saints on their travels again with the midweek trip to Preston. Now, it's one of those games where we've been looking at the last league meeting, which we can't really look too much into. I think 2009. Saints won 3-1, 2 goals from Marek Steganovski. It was that year we did a double over Preston, but we still got relegated. So it's probably best if we don't delve too much into that. It looks like a tough run of fixtures for Preston, but they still seem to be fourth, Glen. Have you made much of them? Have you been able to sort of gauge much from their results?
Well, they were one of the surprising names at the top of the table at the start of the season. So you saw they were up there and Ipswich were up there, and Ipswich is still up there. So Preston obviously had a decent start to the season, but then you look at the wheels seem to have come off a little bit recently. They've had sort of like 3 defeats and a couple of draws in the last 5 games. But if you look a bit deeper, you see that 2 of the away defeats were at Ipswich and Leicester, where, let's face it, everyone's losing at the moment.
No shame in that.
The main interesting one is that they got absolutely battered 4-0 at
West
home
Brom.
by West Brom. So hopefully the wheels have fallen off a little bit, and we're catching them at a good time. So it's probably a game to go in with a settled side and a clear game plan, and try and hit them early, I guess. So again, it's one of these. It's another frozen wasteland of the north, isn't it? And it's so that brings a level of difficulty. But I think, given the result that we got against Hull and the performance we put in, and the Stoke game as well, we seem to have turned into a team that can fight in these games. These tough away games. So I'm quite confident, given all that we can go out there and get a decent result.
We've definitely got the momentum, Steve, going into this one, which I think is important. What sort of game are you expecting? Have you seen much of Preston on the highlights?
Not a huge amount. I caught the last 10 minutes of their game against Millwall yesterday, which was not a classic. But I think it's kind of the sort of game you would expect Millwall to be involved in. And I mean, in fairness, Preston are similar in their style, in that they are very hard to beat, difficult to break down, organised, but they don't have a huge amount up front. And also, like us, they're in the playoffs with a negative goal difference. So yeah, I wouldn't expect an open game like we saw yesterday. I think it'll be a lot tighter, and it'll be a lot more about who can kind of take advantage of little moments. And those are the situations where the quality that we've got in attacking areas has got to kind of come to the fore and be sort of key in these games, because players like Ryan Fraser's obviously an example from yesterday, scoring the winner. Although he's not previously, let's be honest, he's not contributed a huge amount. But it's scenarios like that, coming off the bench and deciding a tight game, that players like him have been brought in. Players with Premier League pedigree. Shea Adams, another one who has scored goals in the Premier League, has scored a lot of goals in the Championship. And I mean, since the end of the transfer window, we've seen very little from in terms of any sort of tangible output. So those sort of players are the ones that have got to step up in these sort of games. Preston are going to be difficult to beat, but as you say, 5 games without a win, suddenly looking like more the sort of side I think most people would have expected them to be pre-season. You would imagine they will sort of drop into the pack a little bit, maybe down to sort of 10th to 14th. Which kind of feels about their level, certainly in terms of the budget and the finances that they've got available to them. They're not the smallest side in the world, but they certainly don't have the budget that the likes of any of the relegated Premier League sides have got.
Are you looking forward to this trip, Alfie? Another trip north midweek?
Yeah, To be fair, I mean, just on what Steve said there, I mean, I think I saw loads of memes from like championship pages before the season that they're the only two things you can be guaranteed of in the championship are that Preston and Bristol City will finish mid-table. So I think you're probably bang on with that. I think they've done that for about 5 years in a row, both of them. But I'm actually coming to you live at the moment from a sort of spa in Winchester. So I've got the next couple of days off to try and relax and recover before we go up on Wednesday. But I think it's a similar thing for the club as well. I think their recovery is going to be obviously massive at the moment. I think they're going up on the Tuesday and coming back on the Thursday, staying the 2 nights just to sort of maximise the time that they're relaxing and resting ahead of the game and after the game. And I think Glen sort of touched on, we haven't seen from Camaldine 90 minutes, we haven't seen from Alcaraz really 90 minutes, but both of those guys came off at 70 on Saturday, so they'll be starting again. I'm almost certain of that. It's
do you think, because I'm just trying to think back to the last 3-game week, and we all said, oh, well, there'll be changes during the week. And
we went unchanged at Stoke, didn't we?
Even Stu Armstrong played 3 games. So I know we've mentioned Ryan Manning coming out, but you think there might be?
I think that'll be the only change, honestly. I think that's why it'd be so key to recover and relax now. I think they will go with the same 11, obviously, with, I think, Holgate in for Manning, but potentially Bree as well. That's why it'd be so key, just to these 2 days of training they've got on Monday and Tuesday, just to get the energy back in the legs. But the momentum's with them, so I feel confident about it.
So no squad rotation at the Echo then? You've got to rest and go. You've got to be up there.
Exactly. Yeah.
so do the ice baths at this spa, do you put your hands in there to rest your typing fingers?
I go nowhere near that. And I've got the cucumbers on the eyes and that's it.
Let's there's an image. Before we move on to Birmingham, let's get some score predictions. It's on Sky Sports Arena, I think, Steve. What's that? Is that just one of the many channels they've got now? It's been that long since
I think that's the one they usually put the NFL on, isn't it? So that's
not pay-per-view, is it? It's not pay-per-view.
God, I hope not. They'd get about 3 viewers.
I know the club are doing the screening, aren't they? You can go and watch it at St Mary's if you want and have a pint.
Well, I think that might be because the club isn't. I don't know, I've obviously got no numbers to hand, but my sort of anecdotal sort of stuff looking at Twitter is that basically the only feedback the club gets from their streaming service is negative one.
Right. Okay. That might be a plug for.
So I wonder whether they're actually going to drive more revenue by having people sat in the club bar buying pints.
It'd be the Sky feed, wouldn't it? It'd be the Sky feed. Let's do some score predictions. Steve, what do you reckon for this one?
I think we'll edge it. But again, I struggle to have confidence in us keeping a clean sheet. So 2-1.
Okay. Glenn?
Yeah, word for word what Steve just said. I can't.
It's easy, these predictions, isn't it? Now,
absolutely, because you can never see a clean sheet. It's always a surprise rather than anything you could confidently predict. So just to be different, I'll go for a 3-1 win.
Okay, and Alfie.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a 5th 2-1 win of the season, I think.
Right, okay. Well, I think we'll take that. If you're watching live, by the way, stick all your predictions in the comments because we enjoy seeing those.